Real Talk.
Hey, where does our cool intro music come from?
I don't know.
It gets me going every single time. Yeah. That's good stuff.
Yeah, we're rocking and rolling. Time for Real Talk. It's brought to us by New Life Community Church in Wellman. Aaron Fleming, Steve Shuttler, hanging out with you. What's up, Aaron?
Oh, it's a beautiful day in southeast Iowa. We're having storms and rain and more on the way, and so it's all good.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
And hot temperatures in between. So, it's summer.
It seems like July in Iowa. That's so weird. Every year this happens. And then we're shocked and horrified at the terrible July weather. Speaking of shocked and horrified, Steve, did you watch the opening ceremony of the Olympics?
I actually didn't see it when it aired live, but of course I heard all about it.
I heard all about it too. I didn't watch it either because... frankly, the opening ceremony is always just pretty boring. But this time around, the controversy, yeah, and what even happened? Like, I still haven't fully found out what happened.
Are you asking me? Or
tell me.
Asking out loud.
Kind of out loud. I mean, I sort of know what happened, but what did you hear?
I mean, what I saw from other posts and things on Facebook is, of course, was it a mockery of the Last Supper on the one section of the opening ceremonies with the people dressed in the drag queens, whatever you want to call it,
and then some naked person painted blue in the role of Dionysius the Greek.
I thought that was Papa Smurf. Oh.
No. Dionysius, the Greek god of wine and song and excess and 3-day-long benders and orgies and things like that. So kind of fusing the Last Supper with a really different kind of feast.
Yeah. Now, but then, of course, we do want to say right off the bat that of course, this is split down the middle of people thinking it was a mockery of the Last Supper versus people that think it was just Greek mythology.
Which would kind of fit with the theme of the Olympics, which was a Greek celebration of the gods and stuff like that.
There's both those points of view. We want to point that out.
I think that our main point here, though, is that I think the blending is what's particularly striking to me.
Okay.
And, well, let me say this first. The first thing that's striking to me is how shocked and horrified so many Christians were. And I just want to ask, why are we shocked and horrified when secular artists from France make fun of Jesus? That's not really new. That's not the first time that someone has done that.
Mm-hmm. And France isn't necessarily like the Christianity capital of the world either.
No, my understanding is that somewhere around 2% of French people are Christians, or practicing Christians at least. A lot of people who grew up Catholic and so forth. But I don't know if this statistic is true, but it's a cool statistic, so I'll share it. I heard that the percentage of practicing Christians in Arabia is higher than in France.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So France is not known for being a deeply Christian country in the last 50 to 100 years, something like that. So the fact that somebody's making fun of the Last Supper really should come as no shock. And it really shouldn't come as a shock to any Christian anytime when the world makes fun of Christ.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure that Jesus promised that would happen. And most of the time when we talk about the promises of God, and Steve, you and I have kind of come up in kind of more charismatic churches where we talk about the promises of God, right? And we claim the promises of God.
Yep.
How many of us love to claim promises of prosperity, woo, and promises of health, woo, and promises of persecution?
Yeah. Woo!
Wait a minute. I'm not going to claim that promise. Let's leave that blessing on the table for somebody else. So really, we shouldn't be shocked by this. And I'm kind of excited about it, though, to tell you the truth.
Really?
I am. Because the more that I think about this, the more that I think about how beautiful the Last Supper is. What is the Last Supper? It is a supper of love. Like Jesus is about to give his life for all of humanity. Anybody that will receive the sacrifice he's about to give. So it's a meal, and it's rooted. Jesus's Last Supper was at the Passover meal. What was that all about? That was all about the Israelites being set free from slavery in Egypt. And the blood of the lamb on the door of their houses caused the angel of death to pass over. Hence, Passover meal. So it's a celebration, and there was food, there was feasting, there was bread, and there was meat, and there was wine. So it was a good time. But Jesus' supper is focused on his sacrifice for the world and a celebration of love and his friendship with his disciples. And so it was really a pretty good time. You compare that with the best thing that Dionysius has to offer. And Dionysius's, that's a tough word to say.
A lot of sisses.
Dionysius, hey, that sounds kind of like a snake sound, doesn't it?
We did that one time on this show, and things just went downhill.
It's about to go downhill again. Can we step back from the brink, or will Dionysius trip us up? The Feast of Dionysius is just a pale shadow of the Feast of Christ. It's all about drunkenness and getting naked and lying around. Like if you and I'm not encouraging, it's not so bad. Go ahead and Google images of the Feast of Dionysius, and you'll get a bunch of Renaissance era paintings of yeah, exactly what Steve is doing there. And half naked people lying around, and some of them look like they're throwing up. And you're like, wait a minute, like, how is this fun? So Dionysius offers a feast, but it ends in drunkenness and puking and smelly, and who knows who you slept with during the 3-day event, and what laws did you break, and how addicted are you to alcohol now, and on and on and on. And like that's the thing that we were supposed to be celebrating at the Olympics. Oh man, I'll stick with the Last Supper.
If we're going to celebrate things from France, I'm going with French toast and French fries.
A French bread. That's pretty good. We didn't come here today to bash France because I saw France has won a couple of medals, some mountain biking, I think.
Okay.
So far, most of the sports are stuff that I don't really care about. If you had wanted to this morning, Steve, you could have gotten up at 2:30 and watched air pistol shooting.
Oh, wow. No, thanks.
No. And then at about 7:30 this morning, I caught the end of the Australia-Canada basketball game.
Oh.
Good times. I was glad to see, though, that the Olympics is not using that dorky trapezoidal lane in basketball.
Yeah.
That was good to see. So bad opening ceremonies, but at least the basketball court looks okay. Hey, we're probably at an okay wrapping up point here.
I would think so.
We talked this to death. We'll come back next week.
I was going to say, way to not, go away from a hot topic. Way to tackle it head on. I didn't know if we would touch on this today or not.
Well, it is real talk, so we should probably try to tackle hot topics.
We actually still have a few minutes.
Okay.
How about I had I've seen on Facebook and social media people saying, if you're mad about the Olympics ceremony or opening ceremony, why aren't you mad? Evidently, there's some show, Mel Brooks. Have you seen this? Where Mel Brooks kind of inserts himself into the Last Supper. Why aren't people mad about other mockery images? So it's like, or making as big of a deal out of that as the Olympics. But
well, thank you for winding me up again. I was about to wind down, but now I'm wound up again. Hey, let's.
So, are you familiar with that?
I mean, I know Mel Brooks kind of makes fun of everything.
Yeah,
I did. I actually saw Blazing Saddles last week.
Okay. I've never seen that, but
I saw it. The first time I saw it was like 20 years ago, and I had these friends who were like, "Oh, this is the funniest movie in the world," and then I watched it, and I was like, "That was not very funny." And then I watched it last week with a friend who was just like, "Maybe we should watch this. It might be kind of funny," and then it was pretty funny.
Okay.
So anyway, Mel Brooks is always making fun of everything. Was that the History of the World Part 1 or something where he does that? I don't know. But I was thinking about what should we actually be upset about? Mm-hmm. Like, we've only got so much emotional energy. Are we going to spend all of that emotional energy worrying about what we should be outraged by? Or should we be like trying to focus on some things that might actually hit closer to home, mm-hmm. that might actually make a bigger difference in the world? And I'm not saying like that it's not serious to mock Jesus. God is not mocked, and you reap what you sow, and so that's not cool. But here's just some sad statistics that I was looking up this morning as I was thinking about this. There are 16,000 people in the state of Iowa currently in jail or prison. And that is 20% more than what our prisons are designed to hold.
Okay.
What exactly am I shocked or outraged about there? I mean, it's not a matter of shock and outrage. I'm sad. Just that our system, something's wrong with our system when we're 20% overcrowded in our prisons. Mm-hmm. And 1 out of 60 people in the state of Iowa is either in prison or on probation or parole. 1 out of 60. That's 1.6% of the population. And like, that doesn't seem that big, right? 1.6%. But then 1 out of 60. If you go to a high school basketball game and there's 200 people there, is that about what shows up at a high school basketball game?
Sure.
I don't know. At a small school, 200 people is a pretty good crowd. 1 out of 60. That means 3 of those people are in jail.
Yeah, it's kind of weird to think about.
They're actually not, because they're at a high school basketball game.
It's a different kind of jail.
There's something going on in our society right here at home, and how do we do something about that? Here's another thing that's making me sad these days. It's not uncommon for me as a pastor to get a call from or to hear about someone in our community. Like, we live in nice small towns, right? Sigourney is a nice small town. Wellman is a nice small town. But it's not uncommon for me to get a call about a mother who is either single or, for example, her husband is in prison, or her boyfriend is in prison or whatever. So we got a single mom with a couple of small kids, and they're homeless and they have no income. And do you know how hard it is to find a shelter that will take a woman with 2 small children? It's really difficult to find. And there's so many, it's so thorny, right? Like, people have done some things to get themselves into that situation. So there's some personal responsibility there. But we are so ill-equipped to help people in that circumstance. And that doesn't make headlines.
Sure.
And maybe it should take up more of our headspace than, some weirdo artist in some other country. And it wasn't even good art. It was dumb. It was like, it was just dumb. Why are we giving that headspace? And now we've talked about it for 15 minutes.
No, yeah, no, it's and we also very briefly we also talked about this before we went on. It's like it's on the same topic but a little bit off. It's like how many Christians we're supposed to take a stand against all the different companies that are against Christians, and so we're supposed to not buy from those companies or those products. But it's like, man, that list is just everybody and everything. They're donating money to things that we don't agree with. It's like, yeah, where does it stop? I mean, you could be mad about everything and try to boycott everything, but you just can't.
You can't.
Yeah, where do you focus your energies?
So I think maybe what we ought to do to wrap up here is just ask everybody if you would say something in the comments. Where is a place close to home where people who, whether we're Christians or not, because maybe we've got some folks in our audience who aren't Christians, and we don't want to leave you out, but where is a place close to Southeast Iowa where we can put time and headspace and money and actually make a difference in the world instead of complaining about something that's going on in France? So how does that sound?
Sounds good.
All right, this has been Real Talk. We'll be with you next week. We're going to talk about Olympic stuff more, except it's going to be a little happier.
Sounds good.
All right.
So go see Aaron. Go see Aaron. He's the pastor at our sponsor, New Life Community Church in Wellman. This is Real Talk with Aaron and Steve.